Well, Windy Bill was a Texas man, and he could rope, you bet. The steer that Windy hadn't tied, he had not met him yet. But the boys that talked of a little black steer who's a kind of a bad outlaw, who lived wet down at the bottoms, the foot of a rocky draw. Where this old black steer had stood his ground with punchers from everywhere. The boys give Windy 2-to-1 that he could not quite get there. So Windy takes out his old roan horse, who's a withers and back to raw, and prepares to tackle that little black brute that lives down in the draw. Wow! With his Sam Slick tree, his brazos bits, and his shaps and taps to boot, and his old McGee tied hard and fast, Bill goes to tackle the brute. And the little rope horse, he sauntered around, and that steer began to paw. Then he stuck his tail straight up in the air, and it heads down through the draw. Well, the Windy's horse went after him like he'd been eating corn. A Windy stuck that old McGee right around the black steer's horns. And the little roping horse, he shut it right down, and the cinches bust like straw. And the old McGee and the Sam Slick tree went drifting down the draw. Wow! Oh, well, the Windy lands in the big rock pile, and his face and hands were scratched. Well, he said he could always rope the steer, but he guessed he'd met his match. And he pays his debts like a little old man without no bit of jaw. And a loud old black steer was the boss of everything in that draw. Well, the moral of this story, boys, is very plain to see. When you go out to rope your steer, don't you tie hard your McGee, but you take your dallies like a man to the California law. And you won't see your old rim fire go drifting down the draw.
Mike Hernandez was a bueno vaquero, rode some good horses, California style. I watched him for hours and he showed me a little of the old California he knew for a while. Started young horses in Bosal y Fiador, onto the Touraine, the old Spanish spade. Brought them along with two hands that were gentle, some fine reining horses as ever were made. And he'd spin that pony hanging on to the riata. He hung from there after in the Willow Creek barn. And I watched and I wondered, man, how could it do that then? He changed direction and spin him some more round and round and round. Had them big spurs that came from Chihuahua, they never had ever raked hide nor hair. They had a nice jingle, and when he rode by, they made pretty music that danced on the air. Lived in a shack with his wife named Juanita. She cooked on a wood stove tortillas and beans. After we'd eaten, he said, come I show you what the word handle on a good cow horse means. And he'd spin that pony hanging on the riata. He hung from here after in the Willow Creek barn. And I watched and I wondered, man, how could it do that then? He'd change direction and spin him some more round and round and round. shout. He never did whisper, he had his own lingo that they understood. A touch of a knee or the lift of a rein, his horses all gave him the best that they could. In an old shed out behind his adobe, I helped him to hang up his bridles and gear. That's where I discovered an old tarp that covered 3 trophy saddles won back many years. And he'd spin that pony hanging on to the riata he hung from a rafter in the Willow Creek barn. And I watched and I wondered, man, how could it do that then? He'd change direction and spin him some more. And he'd spin that pony hanging on to the riata he hung from a rafter in the Willow Creek barn. And I watched and I wondered, man, how could it do that then? He'd change direction and spin him some more. Round and round, spinning and round, 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 round and round and round, spinning round and round. Gotta put some miles behind, it's the best correction for a worried mind. Now I'm riding another circle. The summer ranges are turning brown. Gotta find a new spot to throw my bedding down. So I'm riding another circle. Some colts from Daytona Ball. I cashed my check and I had her all, but now I'm riding another circle. I've been bucked off, I've been jerked around. I sold my butt for a penny a pound. Now I'm riding another circle. Catch me a horse, a traveling kind, a long-legged stepper, and let him unwind. Below across the sage and up through the pines, just riding another circle. Gotta put some miles behind, it is the best correction for a worried mind. Now I'm riding another circle. You're